Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel and welcome to another reading vlog where I'm gonna be reading thrillers for 24 hours. So when I say I'm gonna be reading for 24 hours, I don't mean like 24 consecutive hours or even like 12 plus 12. I just mean I'm just gonna time myself while I read thrillers until we reach 24 hours because honestly, I don't think I could just read like one genre of book for 24 hours. I think like I would burn myself out and get into a reading slump. And I've already had a few reading slumps this year, so I'm not trying to get back into them. So I'm gonna be reading for 24 hours, but like separate hours, you know? And yeah, at this point I have already read the books and I definitely had a lot of fun with them. I do take a break, like a 1 month break halfway through the challenge because I was like on holiday and I barely read on holiday and even like a bit before and a bit after. So I do take like a huge break, but I still do read actually for a little more than 24 hours. And this is spoiler free. And yeah, let's get into it. Alright, hello. We are 3 hours in and this much into our first book, which is The Death Sculpture. I actually have the Portuguese version that doesn't belong to me, like it's from a friend, but I borrowed it from him. And this is actually the fourth book in a mystery thriller series, which is the Robert Hunter series, which, you know, follows Robert Hunter. Shocking, I know. And he is a detective, and in this particular book, the first victim that they find is a man who was, you know, killed, and his body parts, some of his body parts were used to make a sculpture, and the sculpture obviously had a meaning that they, you know, at first did not understand. And also something that they didn't understand is like why they would kill that person, because like the victim was already dying, like he was really sick and didn't have that long to live. So like why kill someone that was already dying? And then they find a second victim whose body parts, some of them were also used for a sculpture, a different sculpture, but obviously they knew that they were connected. And did I even tell you what page I'm on? 340. I'm on page 340, which is, I mean, I have less than 100 pages to go, but I wanted to update like 3 hours in. And I'm really enjoying it. This book, just like the rest of the series, is very gruesome, very violent, very descriptive, very thrillery, which is what we are here for. And I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. Also, I understand the cover now, because at first I was like, what even is happening? But like now I understand the cover. It makes a lot of sense. And I do really like the cover, by the way. Also really like the bookmark with the cover, you know? And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I know this is more about like the time than the books, but also it's obviously about the books, and I am having a blast with this book. And also we're only 3 hours in, so I'm still having a blast with thrillers, obviously. And yeah, I'm gonna obviously finish it, which will take me less than an hour. And then I will start my next book, which I'm not entirely sure like what it's gonna be, but it might be a Holly Jackson book. I have two of them to read, which are Five Survive and the reappearance of Rachel Price, I think. But I think I'm gonna go with the reappearance of Rachel Price because, you know, just because it's recent, I think like recent-ish at least. So I think I might start that. And also that book is ungodly long. Like, why is that book so long? I mean, I don't know like how long the actual book is, but I look up the audiobook, and the audiobook is 16.5 hours long. Like, why is a thriller 16.5 hours long? But yeah, I think I'm gonna read that, and I will update you maybe like 6 hours in to the challenge, somewhere along those lines. Okay, so we are 6 hours in and I am very sleepy, and I think that I look exactly the way that I feel. But like I said, we're 6 hours in and everything was falling. I have finished this book and I got to 45% of the next book. And so in this one, I don't remember exactly where I was, but I think I had like less than 100 pages to go, pretty sure. And yeah, obviously we continued the investigation. We figured everything out. We found out who the killer was and why they were killing those specific people. And now there's a dog barking, of course, and why, like in that specific way. And the ending, as usual, in the books that I've read from the series. Yeah, okay. As I was saying, the ending, as usual, in the books that I've read from the series is very like intense, very thrilling, very stressful. I was worried, I was on the edge of my seat, and let me just say that, I mean, in the previous book, like, I definitely understood that, like, what the killer went through was horrible, and I understand how it, like, affected them in such a horrible way, but I don't, you know, condone what they were doing in this one. I mean, it was a crime, so I guess I don't condone what they were doing, but also I do condone what they were doing. So there's that. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And yeah, it was intense, it was gruesome, it was violent, it was traumatizing, and definitely thrilling. So really, really enjoyed this one. Not exactly sure what I'm gonna rate it yet, but it's gonna be at least 4, probably 4.5. So yeah, really enjoyed this one. And then the reappearance of Rachel Price, like I said, I am 45% in. I got to chapter 23. Yeah, 23. And yeah, this one, like I said, is very long, especially for a thriller. And I'm only 45% in, but I already think that it's being too long. Not to say that I'm not enjoying it, like I am, but at least like the beginning, it could have been like shortened a lot. Are they back? Really? Are they just going like back and forth in my street? Like, what is happening? Okay, so I'm trying here. It's literally 10:43 p.m. I'm dying and I'm struggling here. Okay, so like the title says, we're following the reappearance of Rachel Price. And we actually, like in this book, the character we are following, like the POV we're following, is Belle, or Annabelle, the daughter of Rachel Price. And when the book starts, her family is actually like doing a documentary about Rachel's disappearance. And, you know, they're talking about like what they like about Rachel and what they know and what the theories are. And I mean, they don't really know much because she just vanished into thin air. And the thing is that Belle was with her when she disappeared, but she wasn't even 2 years old yet, so she obviously doesn't remember anything. And yeah, then Rachel reappears. And actually, I mean, obviously I knew she was going to reappear. That's literally in the title of the book. But she only reappeared like 25% into the book. So, you know, the first quarter of the book, I was just waiting for something I knew was, you know, going to happen. Something I knew was going to be like the main plot of the book. So yeah, I feel like that part could definitely have been shortened a lot, because this book is over 400 pages. So that was over 100 pages of just waiting for the plot to actually really start. But yeah, other than that, like, I am enjoying it. I do like Belle, and I am intrigued because Rachel, like, she has come back and she doesn't know who took her. And or she says she doesn't know, like, there are some inconsistencies in her story. Like, she says something to one person and then to the other person she says something else, and like, I'm not sure if it's just because, you know, she's confused or like trauma, or if she's actually lying. And yeah, now I hope that things are gonna start getting more interesting, because we're gonna, you know, investigate and get to the answers. So I'm hoping it'll get, you know, more thrilling, more exciting. But yeah, so far, like, it's okay. I'm not disliking it for sure. Like, I am enjoying the book, but I'm not loving it yet, at least. Honestly, finishing this book is gonna take me probably like the next 3 hours, because I was planning on updating like every 3 hours or around that. I read 45% of this plus the end of this book. So I feel like maybe the remaining 55%, like, I read that in 3 hours, so I feel like the remaining 55% of this book might be the other 3 hours. You know what I mean? Is math mathing? I hope so. Yeah, so I guess I will just finish this book. Probably won't start anything else before I update you. We'll see, but either way, the plan is to update you when I get to the 9-hour mark. So we are a little over, I mean, I think like 14 or 15 minutes over 9 hours, but I just kept like the timer going until I finished the book I was reading, which was The Disappearance of Rachel Price. And I liked that book, but I definitely didn't love it, because like, the plot was interesting, the mystery was interesting, the characters were interesting, and I did like the main character that we were following, but I still think that it was way too long, because there were a few parts where I felt like it was just, you know, going too slow, especially in the beginning. Like, I think I said the first like quarter of the book was just, you know, waiting for what we knew was coming. But even then, like, when the mystery was like unfolding and we were learning things and things were happening, I still felt like it could have been a bit faster. And I mean, in general, I do like fast-paced books, but you know, if you're in a like epic fantasy or like an epic sci-fi, like, I get that it has to be slower to like do world building and get to know like the magic and the characters and the places and the politics and everything. But a thriller especially should be fast-paced, and I feel like this one wasn't. So even though I did like the plots, and like, I was curious and I was invested, and I did like the main character, and the, you know, reveal was definitely interesting. I saw some of the reveals coming, but they were interesting nonetheless. I didn't like absolutely love it, because I did think that it was like a bit too long and a bit slow a lot of the time. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure I'm gonna rate it. It's gonna be either 3 or 3.5. I still need to figure that out. But yeah, we have finished the second book. We are 9 hours in. And I think the next book I'm gonna read is Everyone Who Can Forgive Me Is Dead. Is that what it's called? Let me just check. Yeah, Everyone Who Can Forgive Me Is Dead. And honestly, I know nothing about this book. Like, I don't even know what, like, the plot is. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure I even ever, like, read the synopsis at any point. But I think I was just, like, intrigued by the title. And that's why I added it to my TBR. I don't think I ever, like, actually, you know, learned what it was about. But I'm definitely still intrigued by the title. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna get into that one next. And the next time that I update, I will probably be 12 hours in. So, like, halfway through this. And I am very excited. And, yeah, I'm gonna read. Hopefully, I'll read the entire book in those 3 hours, or almost 3 hours, because it is like a little less than 300 pages, I think. So that should be like kind of the perfect amount of time that I need. Either way, I will update the vlog at some point around the 12-hour mark. We are 12 hours in, we are halfway through, and I did finish another book, start and finish another book, which was Everyone Who Can Forgive Me Is Dead. And I think I said that, like, I knew nothing about this book, and I really didn't. Like, I went into it completely blind, and I can tell you already, I didn't really like it. And we're following a character called Charlie. Charlotte, but her nickname was Charlie. And she was like a survivor of, like, I think they call it the Scarlet Christmas? Yeah, Scarlet Christmas, which was like when a few people in her university like were killed, and she was like one of the survivors, and she was also like one of the witnesses. And this, like, the story is set some years later. I don't know exactly how many, but I'm gonna go with around 10. And in the present, she has a successful career. She is engaged to a like very rich and like important person. And, you know, she's doing well, basically, but she is still kind of haunted by what happened, especially because I said she was a witness, but she actually doesn't remember what happened. She kind of lied by saying that she did. And now there is someone that used to know her back then that is making a movie about the whole thing. And she's worried that that will, you know, make her secrets come out. And yeah, I didn't really like it. Honestly, I didn't really like any of it. I definitely didn't like the characters, honestly, like any of them, but I definitely didn't like the main character, which is an issue. Like, in thrillers, I feel like I don't have to like love the characters, but I have to connect to them in some way, you know. I have to have some kind of, yeah, connection to them, or because if I don't, I just don't care, which was exactly what was happening. I didn't care. And even the plot, like, I've read similar things before, and the similar things that I have read before were better, or at least they were better because I hadn't read as many before. You know what I mean? It wasn't really surprising. It wasn't really shocking. It wasn't really plot twisty, because, you know, I had the hope that the plot twist would actually, you know, not be what I was expecting it to be from what I have read before and from where it seemed like it was going, but it was exactly what I thought it was gonna be. And I mean, even like if he hadn't been, I wasn't invested enough to actually care, because even though this book was kind of like, it was short, it was under 300 pages, it felt slow, like nothing was really happening, because we only actually started getting information from what happened in the past like very late in the book, and I did not care about the character and therefore did not care about her life in the present. So there's also that. And the ending was definitely like way too neat. Like everything was just wrapped up too neatly and I just didn't like it. Yeah, this one definitely didn't work for me. And actually I saw a review that it didn't even like have a rating. It didn't have anything. It was one word. It was like boring. And sadly, that is how I felt while I was reading this book, which not what you want, especially in a book that is supposed to be thrilling. You know, the opposite of boring. So yeah, this one sadly did not work for me, and I think I'm gonna give it 2 stars because I mean I didn't like absolutely despise it, but I definitely didn't like it either. And then I was thinking about like what book to read next, because I finished this at, I think it's 12 hours and 1 minute that we're in, so it was like perfect time for an update. And I was thinking about like what to read next, and then I realized that I do like physically own a thriller, which is this one, which is very chunky. This is like, I have the Portuguese translation. I think the English translation is like around 400 pages, and this one is almost 550. So definitely a very long thriller. I don't know what that's about, but also it makes sense because, you know, if like to say a sentence in Portuguese takes way more words than to say like the same thing in English. So like it does make sense that the book is longer, but that is very long. But like here it says that it's the winner of the Mystery Writers of Japan award. So I was like, is it a mystery or is it a thriller? Like, I mean, they're usually connected, but books can be mysteries and not being thrillers. But then like in the synopsis it says that it's like full of tension or full of suspense. And then here like under the barcode it says thriller and suspense. So it does sound like it's a thriller, and I mean the cover definitely gives thriller vibes. So yeah, I'm definitely very excited to get into this one. Obviously, like that's why I bought it, because I was excited to read it, and also it's like really floppy, you know, and satisfying to hold. So yeah, I will start this one next. I am, yeah, definitely very excited, but also kind of intimidated by the size of this book, because I mean it's massive in like every way. Look how big this book is compared to like a normal sized book, you know what I mean? Like this is massive. But yeah, I am still excited nonetheless, and I will probably update you in like 3 hours when we, I mean not in actual 3 hours, as in that would be literally 3 a.m. That's not what I'm gonna do, but once I read for 3 more hours. Okay, so we are 15 hours in. I mean, technically, we are 14 hours and 59 minutes in, but I had like reached a chapter break when the timer like hit that, so I stopped, obviously. And I'm on page 342, and actually, it has been a month since I last talked to you, because I took a month-long break. Almost from reading entirely, but definitely from reading like for this video, because I was on holiday and I honestly, like, I did not have time to do anything. I barely read in the month of August, which was the one that I basically stopped. But now we're back, and like I said, I got to page 342, which is 60-ish% through the book. And I don't really know like what chapter I'm on, because this is separated into like sections or like parts. Even though it doesn't say part, it just has a title. And then like, this is the one I'm in, like just looks like this. And then it has chapters in it. And so like I read the first 2 chapters of like this section. And we are following a group of, like mostly a group of 4 women who work at a factory of like packaged meals. And this is set in Tokyo. And they, like one of them, one night, they work the night shift. And actually, I think it's the first section that is called, yeah, it's called the night shift. And they work the night shift in that factory. And in like one of the shifts, one of them tells the others that her husband hit her. And then the like night after, the next shift, she tells him that they argued and she killed him. And one of the other women, I think her name is Masako. Yes, also I'm gonna say all of these names wrong, probably, and I am so sorry. Yeah, so the one who killed her husband, it doesn't say in the back, which is great. And her name is definitely like the hardest for me to like say. It's Yayoi, like probably not, it's Yayoi. She's the one who killed her husband. And then Masako, one of her colleagues, tells her that like she'll help her, you know, get rid of the body. And then she like enlists 2 other colleagues to help with the job because like they all kind of have something to gain from it, like money. They will get paid, and they're all like in bad financial situations. And so they, you know, take care of the body. And there's also like a lot of crime in their area. And one of the people that, I mean, actually 2 other people that we're following are like connected to the crimes in that area, and that definitely like gets connected with the rest of the story. And I'm definitely liking it. Like I'm invested and I want to know where it goes, but I don't know if it's like because it's translated or if it's because it's like translated into Portuguese specifically, and like I think that everything sounds worse in Portuguese. But like I don't love the writing, but like it might, like that might be the problem, the fact that it's translated or like translated in Portuguese. So yeah, I'm not like loving the writing, and I'm not like obsessed with it, but at the same time I am. Like I want to keep reading, I want to like know what happens, and I kind of like don't want to put it down, but at the same time I don't like love it. Like I do really like it, but I don't love it. I don't really know exactly what I'm feeling about it. I don't really know how to explain what I'm feeling, but like I'm enjoying it. I want to know what's happening. I'm like kind of invested, but I'm not like in love with it. Also, I don't really like any of the characters. Also, one of the characters, like one of the colleagues that helps the woman that killed her husband, she had like a very mysterious past, and I'm definitely intrigued about her. She's definitely like the character I'm the most interested in, and like the POV I like to read from the most. But not that like I love her, because I don't really like any of the characters, which, I mean, I guess it's kind of the point, because they're all like very flawed, you know, very human, and I guess that is kind of the point. And, you know, sometimes having very like unlikable characters works for me, and sometimes it doesn't. And in this one, I'm not sure it's like working very well for me. Like I'm not loving like to follow these people that I don't really like, but I do like the story. Like I am invested, like I said, in finding out what's gonna happen and if they're gonna get caught and everything. So yeah, I'm liking it. I am not loving it, you know? So yeah, I am gonna finish this book. I will probably finish it before my next update, which will be in like at 18 hours. I will probably finish it before that because I am like over halfway through. So I have exactly 200 pages left. So I will probably finish it in a little under 2 hours, because like this font is like really big and it has like really big margins. So I do read more than 100 pages per hour of this book specifically. So, I mean, I read 340 in 3 hours, you know? So I should finish it in just under 2 hours. And then I am going to start my next book, which I think is gonna be just like Mother, which I think is like actually a like horror thriller. And I was supposed to read that book in July, I think. Either July or August, not entirely sure. For like sort of a reading challenge, but then I didn't read it. But like, I do still want to read the book. So I probably will start that one next. And I will be back to update you once I reach the 18-hour mark. Okay, so we are almost at 18 hours and I finished one book and I started another book. And so obviously I finished Out and I think I was like 60-ish% in when I talked to you. Maybe, possibly, I don't exactly remember. Maybe I wasn't. Honestly, I have no idea. I know that I was 60% in when I updated some vlog. I don't know if it was this vlog specifically. It could have been the weekly vlog. Anyway, that doesn't matter. I remember like what I said about it, like my thoughts. And honestly, they kind of remained the same. And I did like the ending, like the very end. But the like section before the end, I didn't really love. And like before that, I was, you know, invested. I was curious. I was excited to see how it was gonna end, like what was gonna happen to the characters and how like all the different mini storylines connected. I like to see that, but like that section just like right before the end, I didn't love. But I did like the ending, and overall I did like it, and I was like, you know, excited and stressed with the book and like with the characters and the plot, and overall I did enjoy it, but I didn't like love it. And I think I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars, something around that. And yeah, that was that. And then I started the next book, which is just like Mother, and I am 38% in. And in this one, we are following a character whose name I don't remember, and I was literally reading this book last night, but I am terrible with names. Like I know that the character that like her cousin is Andrea, but I don't remember like the main character's name. Wait, Maeve, I think. Let me make sure. Maeve. Okay. So we are following Maeve, and we actually get like a prologue where she's a kid, I think, pretty sure. And she used to live in like a cult, I guess. And so did her cousin, Andrea. And then we like flash forward to the present where they're both adults. I think they're like around 30 something. And after like they got out of the cult or like escaped, or I'm not entirely sure like how they got out, but like they did, and I think like the cult was ended. They haven't seen each other since then, but they find each other again and they meet up and they are, you know, reconnecting, and they have like very different lives. Like Maeve lives alone, she doesn't have like a partner, she doesn't have kids, and Andrea, like her whole life, she's part of a company that is like about fertility. And so like she and her friend and their husband and their friend's husband, they are all like obsessed with people having kids basically. And so they kind of judge Maeve for not having and not wanting kids, and like she's wrong for that. And like it definitely has a creepy vibe, and like Andrea's company thing definitely also kind of feels like kind of a cult, and I am definitely liking the creepy vibe. Like it hasn't been, you know, thrillery yet, although this is like a horror thriller, so maybe it's not gonna be as thrillery, but I am feeling like the horror, like creepy vibes. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm not like loving it yet, but I'm definitely enjoying it. I don't know if I said I'm 38% in. And yeah, we're almost 18 hours in. And so yeah, I will finish this book and probably start another one before I talk to you. Because this has like 300 pages and I am like a little over 100. So I will probably finish this before the 3 hours are over, and then I will start another book. And I will be back here for the 21-hour updates. We are at 21 hours, so this is like my last update before the last update. And I finished Just Like Mother, and I have started Those Empty Eyes. I am 38% in. And for Just Like Mother, I definitely, like, I was really enjoying it. It definitely had like a very creepy, unsettling, uncomfortable vibe that I was expecting from it. And also it felt, a lot of the book, it felt like kind of, you know, a fever dream, which again was what I was expecting and wanting from that book. Like, since I learned what the plot actually was, because I didn't really know like that well before going into it, like since I learned what the plot was, I was hoping it was gonna be like a fever dream kind of book, and it definitely was for a big part of the book, and also like very cultish, which was definitely very creepy. It was definitely like very scary, like the things that were happening to the main character like were absolutely terrifying. So yeah, like I really enjoyed it, but then the ending, like there was a part of it that I really liked, and there was a part of it that I really didn't. So I kind of have mixed feelings about it. Like I still enjoyed it. Like overall, it was a good time. Good as in creepy and made me feel uncomfortable and scared. But a good time nonetheless for like a horror thriller book. And like it was, I feel like, mainly horror, but there were moments of it where it was definitely thrilling and like I was, you know, stressed out. So definitely also a thriller. And yeah, I have mixed feelings. I think I'm probably gonna rate it 3.5 because I was thinking of rating it like 4 stars, but then the ending, you know, that issue that I talked about. So I think 3.5, I'm still not entirely sure, but probably something like that. And Those Empty Eyes, like I said, I am 38% in, and we are following a girl who I think is called Alexa. I am really bad with names, like really bad. And she, like when she was, I think she was about to turn 18. Her entire family, like her parents and her brother, they were killed in their home, and she was like the only survivor because she managed to like hide from the killer. We see that like in the prologue, this is not a spoiler. And people, like since she was the sole survivor, people for a while think that she was actually the killer, like she was the one who did that to her family. And so, you know, not only did her entire family die, people also accuse her of doing it. So her life was like basically ruined. And like it was proved that she didn't do it. Like there was no evidence that she did it. And like there was evidence to the contrary that like she didn't. So like legally, like it was proven that she wasn't the killer, but there are still a lot of people that think that she did it and that like hate her and want her to suffer and like make her life hell, basically. And we see that happening like 2 years after. There are like some people who are like trying to ruin her life. And then we like fast forward to 10 years later, and like when we were at like 2 years after, she was like trying really hard to find out who actually killed her parents, because they didn't actually find out who it was. So she was like trying to figure that out, like she was, you know, making things happen for that. And now we have moved on like to 10 years after that night, and I'm like not very far into that part, but I'm not really sure what's happening anymore, because like she's, you know, living her life, doing her thing, and I don't know if she's still like investigating. Like I assume she is, but I don't really know what we're doing. So yeah, I don't really know how I feel about it. Like I'm definitely enjoying it. I really like the beginning because we had like a whole court scene that was not entirely realistic, I feel like, but fun nonetheless. And also like what she was doing 2 years after, I was really enjoying it. But now like things have definitely shifted, so I don't really know. But I guess I'm liking it. And the thing is, I am probably gonna finish this book in like 2 hours, which means I will finish this book at 23 hours into this reading thing. So that sucks, because there's no book I will read in like 1 hour, like no thriller that I have on my list that I will read in 1 hour. So what I am thinking is I'm going to start one by one, which is the next book in the series of the first book I read in this video. And will I read this in 1 hour? Absolutely not, because this is 411 pages. So I will definitely not read this in 1 hour. I will probably read this in like 4 hours. So there's that, you know, but, you know, I will tell you where I got to when we hit the 24 hours, but I will also like finish the book just for the sake of having finished books in this video. You know what I mean? So yeah, I am going to finish those empty eyes and probably also read this book, and I will get back to you once I am done. Okay, so we have finished the challenge, we have finished the 24 hours. Actually, we have finished more than 24 hours, because when we reached 24 hours, I was like this much through the last book, and then I finished it. But I think the last time I talked to you, I don't know like how much in I was into the book. But I know that I was reading Those Empty Eyes, and that I said that like I was confused about the plot. And honestly, I continued being confused about the plot for a while, because like it was also, I think I said the name of the character was Alexa. It was actually Alex. And you know, it was about her, and then it started being like about another case, like 10 years after. It started being about another case. Like there was a girl who like was in college, and she was about to release like information exposing a lot of people that knew about like sexual assaults going on in the university, and like she was killed, and it was like the investigation about who killed her, and like Alex got involved in that. But it was like so different from the beginning, and then like obviously everything was connected, but I was like confused for a while about like what we were even doing. So I didn't love that one, and also I got kind of bored like in the middle of the book, and like it was okay. I didn't dislike it, but it was just okay, and I think I'm gonna give that one 3 stars. And then I started reading One by One, and this is the 5th book in the Robert Hunter series. And in this one, it started like with Hunter getting a call, and the caller like sent him a link for a broadcast where he was basically like gonna kill someone, and he wanted Hunter to choose like the way that person was gonna die. And then actually like they ended up killing that person like in a much like more horrible way. And then there were other calls from that same person, and he was like still broadcasting the deaths, but like he was actually broadcasting not just to Hunter. There was like a website that people could access, and people could vote for like what way they wanted the person to die. And you know, they were investigating, and they were trying to figure out if like the victims were connected, and like how they were connected, and like why that person was doing that. And it was very gruesome, very like descriptive, very gory, and very violent. These books always are, and I love that about them. And I was definitely like thrilled. I was definitely stressed. I was definitely creeped out and disgusted. And that was exactly what I wanted from this book. And I definitely like the like reveal. I did not see that coming. I like had no idea what was going on, but it did make sense, and I absolutely loved it. And there was like a new character that was helping out with the investigation that I also really liked, and I love the main characters. And yeah, I really liked it. I think I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars because like I loved it, but it just didn't give me, you know, the feeling. But yeah, I loved it. I love this series. It's very violent. Like if you don't like a lot of violence, a lot of like gory stuff, no, I don't recommend, but if you do, it's great and very thrilling as well. And yeah, like I said, I was this much in when you got the 24 hours, and that was page 118, chapter 34. And yeah, then I think I took like 3 more hours to read this, so like technically it was 27 hours, but I didn't like actually count the hours like with the timer. I think it was like around 3 more hours because it was also around 300 more pages, so I mean, it makes sense. And yeah, really enjoyed it. I think I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars, like I said. And yeah, that was it. It took me very long to film this video because I took like a huge break halfway through the challenge, but it was fun. I do love reading thrillers and mysteries, and there was also a horror in there, and I definitely had a lot of fun. And yeah, that is everything for this video, so thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you have enjoyed it, and if you did, give it a like and subscribe, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!